Hello, 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 and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here. Today, we are going to talk about term insurance. So many people lately have come into meetings and they're like, Mary Jo, I'm sorry, but I have term. Or Mary Jo, I'm sorry, I just bought term. Or, whatever. The reason being that they have term insurance. Or they're like, oh, there's term insurance on my policy. I'm sure that agent didn't do that right. And so let's just clear it up. Much like banks, people think, oh, because the title of her book is Without the Bank, she hates bankers. She hates banks. No, I did a whole podcast on that too. I don't hate those people, or I don't like the banking system. But like term insurance, it's okay. The banks are okay if we need them to leverage ourselves a little bit, if we need them to, as we're working our way into getting our own bank. And term is the same. Term is good in the short term if it's all we can afford. So let me explain to you how I use it. Because guess what? I do sell term, and I actually sell quite a bit of term for somebody that talks a lot about whole life. And there's a couple of reasons why. One being, if we cannot afford whole life, there are people that I talk to that are really have a lot of credit card debt. They maybe have never learned about finance before, and for whatever reason, my book made it very simple for them to understand. They're just really getting their act together around finances, but we have a lot of debt that we need to take care of before we buy whole life insurance. Now, there are some people that think that, oh, if you have large credit card debt, you can still go buy a whole life policy and then borrow from that to pay off the massive amount of debt. If you have so much debt, let's say you've got $10, $15, $20,000 of bad credit card debt, and we are not getting anywhere to pay that off, I can't run that through a policy and pay it off faster for you. We can move the debt over, but I can't necessarily pay it off faster. And so some things that we have to think about is that a good option? Sometimes, yes, I want to move it over to the policy, and sometimes that does not make sense. And in those cases, I'm going to say, I need you to go buy some term insurance until we can get that debt paid off. But I'm not talking about regular old term insurance. I'm talking about term insurance that can be converted to whole life insurance. And the reason that I use convertible term is because if something were to happen to you, if you had skin cancer, heart attack, stroke, Crohn's, colitis diagnosis, sleep apnea, something that is a depression, anxiety, newly diagnosed, something that may hurt your insurability, the term insurance guarantees that you can buy and convert it to whole life within a certain period of time of that term. So if we don't have any insurance, at the end of the day, we still need to have death benefit. We still need to have life insurance because guess what? You are guaranteed you're going to die. You aren't getting out alive. So many people don't think that the life insurance piece is important, but yet they carry homeowners insurance and car insurance and all this other stuff. You're not guaranteed your house is going to burn down. It's not guaranteed you're going to get in an accident, but it is guaranteed that you're going to die. So you should probably have some life insurance. And we're not guaranteed our health, right? That's why we have health insurance. And so if our health declines and we can't get insurance, this ensures that we are going to have insurance for the future. So we have something in the meantime. The other thing is if it's convertible, we very quickly can start a new policy rather than having to wait to get health approval and all that stuff again. Because if we are, let's say that I have a 35-year-old and they are preferred health, and then we do a policy when they are 45. Well, we still have preferred health, just at 45 when we convert that to whole life. So that is why I am doing term insurance. It is not awful. There are companies out there that will sell return of premium term insurance. Those are not awful either, because if you don't die, you get your premiums back. So it's like a forced savings account, kind of. But here's the thing, you guys, most less than 2% of term insurance policies ever have to pay out. And so the insurance companies know that there's very little risk there. That is why it is so inexpensive. The other reason that I use term insurance is because I put it on the insurance policy as your whole life policy. Sorry. I put it on your whole life policy as a rider. That allows me to structure the policy in such a way that it does not mech, but I get more money to cash value. It allows me to do a couple things within that policy. And so if you have somebody that is putting term on with whole life, that's not always the case. I've come across a lot of policies that the company puts the term on there and the whole life, and then it slowly converts to whole life. And that is just because we need more death benefit, couldn't afford the whole entire policy to be whole life. That's what most people think, right? We can't afford this entire policy to be whole life. I beg to differ. I think that people have more money than what they think they have, and they just put it to what's important to them. And so people are going to say, oh man, I can't, I'm not going to stop making my expensive car payment, but I will stop paying my whole life insurance, but yet I'm guaranteed to die. You're talking to a life insurance agent here. And so for me, that is super important. That would be the last thing that I would cancel. It would be the last thing that I would stop paying on. But yet people think it is the first thing they should stop paying on. And then they'll still go out to eat, and they'll still, go on vacation and rack everything up on the credit card. But the life insurance is the first thing to go. Does not make any sense to me. If we have our priorities straight and we want to make sure we take care of our family, that is the one thing that we will keep. Anywho, term insurance is not the worst thing in the world short term. It is not, in my opinion, a good idea to have term insurance long term, like the talking heads have to say. So you have the people that are saying, oh, you buy term and invest the difference. Well, first of all, it's not an investment. That just doesn't make any sense at all. The death benefit is there, and the amount of money that you are going to leave your family in death benefit and what you've paid for that is astronomically inexpensive. And so if you are concerned about the buy term and invest the difference piece, then you and I just don't need to talk, because that doesn't make any sense to me. Term insurance, long term, when you get to be 65, 70 and looking for death benefit because you still have debt that you want to take care of, or you need a burial policy, you are going to pay out of your nose for that. And so when you look at the cost of insurance over your lifetime, it is going to be less expensive to buy whole life than it is to buy term insurance over your lifetime, because it expires and then it starts again, and then you have to requalify and all that stuff. That doesn't happen in whole life. So if you are somebody that needs term insurance and you need it for the short run and you're younger, great, go buy some term insurance, supplement with term insurance. Even I have a term insurance policy, and it's convertible. So if something happens to my health, I can still convert it. So I just let that thing ride just in case I need to convert it in the future. And in the meantime, I just keep going through health exams to start more policies. But again, long term, it's not the answer. And when we in infinite banking, when we talk about how term is not good, that's what we're talking about. Even if I put it on the policy as a rider, I need it to drop off of that policy as soon as possible. Like, I need it to do its job, but I also don't want it there for a very long period of time, because it's going to get costly. And so there's just, you have to look at all of that when you're doing a policy and structuring a whole life policy. And we have to look at why we need the term. So yes, I sell a lot of it. If I have a young person coming to me and they have money to put a policy on mom and dad, then I'm going to have them put a policy on mom and dad and buy term on themselves, because it's extremely important that we have something on them, but mom and dad aren't getting any cheaper and we need to put as much money on them as we can right away. So I hope that explains it. If you have some term insurance, don't feel guilty about it. Don't be like, oh my gosh, I just made the biggest mistake in the world. No, the biggest mistake in the world would be dying without life insurance. That is a huge mistake, because your family is not their responsibility to take care of your funeral costs. It is your responsibility to take care of your funeral costs. It was your life. And so if you don't want to leave them any more money than the funeral costs, then so be it. At least leave them that, so that they are not having to pay for the funeral. They're not having to pay for probate, all of those things. Do a little bit of planning. If that is what you are buying term insurance for as a young person, fantastic. Long term, let's look at some whole life insurance. But don't feel guilty. Don't apologize for it. And people think that when they come into my meetings that I'm going to like beat them up and yell at them for stuff. I'm not going to beat you up and yell at you for stuff. I might get very, very passionate on here when I talk, but it is just the subject itself I am passionate about. If you have made a mistake and you didn't do that on purpose, you didn't know about it, you didn't hear me, you didn't know anything about infinite banking, and you went and bought a universal life or a term or an IUL, that is not your fault. That is the agent that sold it to you because they didn't explain it. Now, if you went and did all that stuff after you listened to me, then yeah, I'm not gonna beat you up, but I am gonna pick on you. Guaranteed. Why are you not listening? And I get that you can't trust everybody, but you have to do your due diligence. So don't apologize for something you did not know about. I'm not gonna yell at you. All right, you guys, that is all I have today. Hope that helps put you at your mind at ease a little bit, and you don't think that, oh my gosh, I have to do something now. I have to get rid of this term insurance. If that term insurance is cheap, don't you ever cancel it. Keep it, keep it, keep it. Okay, let me know if you have questions, comments, concerns. Mary Jo at withoutthebank.com. If you've not gotten the books, go to the websites withoutthebank.com or farmingwithoutthebank.com. Grab your books and then tell all your friends. All right, you guys, have a fantastic rest of your day.